Hi friends, my name is Krishna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have already completed our purchase book, purchase return book, sales book and sales return book in our 2 to 3 previous videos, right? Today we are going to discuss about the cash book. What are we going to discuss in cash book? We will first understand what are the transactions we are supposed to record in cash book, how many types of cash books are there, and we will discuss about one of those types of cash books as well. I'll try to complete one illustration as well along with this. Right? Without wasting much time, let us get into the presentation. Before we get into that, I just wanted to request all of you, please like the video if you like the content. If you don't like, you dislike it, absolutely no problem. But when you start liking the video, these videos will reach out to so many people. Right? So my sincere request to all of you, please like the video if you like it, and if you do not like it, please dislike it. I'm perfectly fine with that. That will be a feedback for me, right? So thank you so much. Let us get into the presentation. Okay guys, let us get into cash book. What type of transactions we record in cash book? All cash related transactions. What do you mean by cash related transactions? Any cash payments and cash receipts. Whatever business pay by cash has to be recorded in cash book. Whatever business receives by cash has to be recorded in cash book. That means all cash receipts and payments will be recorded in cash book. Are you clear? Right. Now, when we talk about cash book is part of subsidiary book. Do you all agree with that? Because we discussed about 8 subsidiary books. What are those 8 types? Purchase book, purchase return book, sales return book, bills payable book, bills receivable book, cash book, journal proper. These are the 8 different books we learned, right? Right. Out of these 8, cash book is also one among them. Correct? But this cash book is also called as principal book. This cash book is also called as principal book along with the subsidiary book. Why? Why cash book is also called as a principal book? That is something which we need to understand before we get into the different types. If I want to explain why cash book is called as principal book, I just need to go back a minute to explain what is journal and what is ledger. Okay, so we learned about 2 things already: journal, number 2 ledger. These are the 2 things we already learned. Journal is also known as journal book is also known as what? Day book, or book of primary entry, or book of original entry, or book of first entry. There are different names for journal book. Why there are different names? Why are we calling it as day book? Why are we calling it as book of primary entry? Why are we calling it as book of first entry? The simple reason for that is, as soon as the transaction occurs, the transaction will be recorded first into the journal book. The transaction will be first recorded into the journal book. That is the reason why journal book will be called as book of primary entry, or book of original entry, or day book. There are different names for journal. Similar way, ledger, we call it as it's a principal book. Why it is principal book? Do you remember? I told you when we were explaining about ledger. In ledger, what do we prepare? We prepare accounts. Why we need to prepare accounts? When journal book is already available, why we need to prepare accounts? These accounts are classified statements and they give the final balance of that particular account. Suppose if I take purchases, and if I wanted to know how many purchases I made during the month or during the day, if I go to ledger and prepare a purchase account and total that purchase account, I'll get to know what are the purchases I made. So it will give a final balance of that particular account. Ledger will provide the final balance of those particular accounts. It can be a purchase account, basically all the 3 accounts: nominal account, real account, and personal account. All the three accounts, it will give the final balance, right? So that is the reason why ledger is called as a principal book. Why ledger is being called as principal book? Because ledger will provide the final result of respective accounts. It will give the final result of respective accounts. That is the reason we are calling it as principal book, right? Now let me come back to cash book. Why cash book is called as subsidiary book as well as principal book? That is something which we need to understand. You know, cash book will be looking like cash account only. Cash book will be looking like a cash account. Cash account and cash book, there is no difference. The format looks like account only. It is a classified statement which is in the form of English letter T. When we balance the cash account, we will get to know the final balance of cash account. All stories same. So cash book and cash account are one and the same. Probably once we get into the two columnar cash book or three columnar cash book or petty cash book, that could be a different, there could be some additional columns added to that. That's a different story. But when you look at the cash account in ledger and cash book, they look similar. When I maintain the cash book, there is no need for me to maintain the cash account because cash book acts as a cash account as well. Cash book acts as an account, cash account as well. That means what? Cash account balances will be extracted and kept in trial balance for the purpose of preparing profit and loss account and balance sheet. This is what we discussed in the ledger. Similar way, cash book is also looking like a cash account. Since it is looking like a cash account, cash book balance can be directly taken and kept in trial balance. That is the reason why cash book will be act as a principal book as well as subsidiary book. One simple line. Since cash book is acting like a cash account and the final balances can be extracted and taken to the trial balance, cash book also will be called as a principal book. So cash book has two names. It will be considered as subsidiary book and it will also be considered as principal book. Are you clear so far? Right. Now, in cash account, in cash book, there are two sides. In cash book, there are two sides, debit side and credit side. Debit side is called as, debit side we record receipts. Credit side we record payments. All cash related receipts will be debited. All payments, cash payments will be recorded in credit side. Is it a blind thing you need to remember? Not required. When I receive the cash, cash is the real account. When I receive the cash, debit what comes in is applicable. So then I have to debit the cash account. So obviously, when the receipt, cash is received, it will be debit. Very simple. When I make the payment, cash payment, cash is the real account. Cash is going out. Real account. Credit what goes out is applicable. I credit cash account. So cash account is credited when we make the payment. So when we receive the amount, cash account will be debited. When we make the payment, cash account will be credited. Do you agree with me? Right. So that is the reason if I take cash book, all receipts will be recorded in debit side and all payments, all in the sense cash payments. Cash receipts will be recorded in debit side and cash payments will be recorded in credit side. This is a very important point. Only cash receipts and cash payments. Now, once this is recorded, we do balancing of cash book. Similar way, the way we were balancing cash account, similar way we need to do the balancing of cash book. When we do the balance, brought down balance will always come in debit side in cash account and cash book. Brought down balance will always come in debit side of the cash book. Why? Why? Why brought down balance? That means carry down is coming in credit side and brought down will come in debit side. Why brought down balance will come always in debit side of the cash book? Because simple reason. I'll give you a beautiful example to you. Let us say this is a cash book. Okay. This is receipt side and this is payment side, right? Let us say I have 1 lakh receipts. Total receipts 1 lakh. Can I pay 1 lakh 1 rupee? I can't pay. Why? I have only 1 lakh rupees in my hand. I have total cash of 1 lakh. How can I pay 1 lakh 1 rupee? That 1 rupee is not there in receipt side. So if I have 1 lakh, I can pay to the extent of only 1 lakh. I can't pay 1 lakh 1, I can't pay 1 lakh 100, I cannot pay 1 lakh 10,000, I cannot pay 2 lakhs. I cannot pay anything beyond 1 lakh because I have, see, I kept 100 rupees in my pocket. I went to the market. How much I can spend? Don't talk to me about credit. Huh? I'm not talking about the credit here. If I have 100 rupees in my pocket, how much I can spend outside? Obviously, to the extent of the amount available in my pocket. That is 100 rupees. If I have 100 rupees in my pocket, I can spend 100 rupees. So, similar way, if I have 1 lakh cash in my hand, the receipt side, I can spend only to the extent of 1 lakh. I can't spend anything 1 rupee extra. So, cash book always, when you balance, it will, both the sides it will be zero. Sorry, there won't be any balance, not zero. You total this, both the totals can tally, or debit side will be always higher side. Debit side will be always higher side. So if the debit side is higher side, for example, here 1 lakh, it will be probably 90,000. I'm just taking example. So when I balance this, what will happen? 1 lakh I have to put, 1 lakh I have to put here, and 10,000 I have to put here. By balance carried down, to balance brought down 10,000. Why balance brought down is coming 10,000 debit side? Because my receipts will be always in higher side than my payments, or my receipts can be equal to the payments. My payments cannot be more than my receipts. My payments cannot be more than my receipts. That is the reason you always get a balance carried down and balance brought down in cash book. So the ultimate conclusion here is cash book will have a zero brought down balance or will have a debit brought down balance. It cannot be a credit brought down balance. Are you clear? So cash book will have always a debit balance. It will never be in credit balance. Clear? Right. Now, how many types of cash books are there? Simple cash book you have. Simple cash book is nothing but looks like your cash account only. You don't find any difference there. And you have 2-column cash book. We will discuss about individual, what are those 2 columns, how the format is going to be, how do we record those transactions. Everything I'm going to explain in detail when we get into that type. Then we also have 3-columnar cash book. 3 columns will be there in both the sides. What is that cash book? That also we are going to discuss. Apart from these 3, we also have petty cash book, right? We also have petty cash book for small expenses. How do we manage? So for that we need to maintain a petty cash book. So we discuss about these different types of cash books in coming videos. Simple cash book, 2-columnar cash book, 3-columnar cash book, and petty cash book. These are the 4 varieties we are going to discuss in our coming videos. Now let us talk about simple cash book. Simple cash book is nothing but looks like a cash account only. Date, particulars, LF number, amount. Similar way, date, particulars, LF number, amount. Debit and credit. That's all. Nothing else. Looks like a cash account only. Anyway, I'm going to show you the specimen, and I'm going to give you one problem. We are going to work upon one problem. You will get to know how the format is going to be. Simple. This is what the format is going to be. First date will be there, then particulars, then LF number, amount. That's all. LF number, amount, LF number, amount. That's all. Here again date, particulars, LF number, amount. That's all. So your simple cash book looks like a cash account only. As I said, how do we do the balancing of cash book? I already explained to you. If I have a cash book, debit side I record always receipts and credit side I record always payments. So my receipts always will be higher than my payments. It cannot be a situation where my payments will be in higher side than the receipts. It will never happen, because if I have 100 rupees, I can spend only to the extent of 100 rupees. I cannot spend beyond that. That is the reason your cash book will always have a debit balance or zero balance. It cannot be negative balance. It cannot be in negative balance. Are you clear about this? Right. Let us move on to simple cash book problems. In this, what is that problem says, we'll ask. We'll discuss, we'll read the problem. This is the illustration one I have taken from Institute material. They said January 1st, 2020, we have cash in hand 1200, received from Ram 300, paid rent 30 rupees, sold goods for cash 300 rupees, paid to Sham 700 rupees, purchased furniture 200 rupees, paid salaries 100 rupees, rent to due, very important, not paid, due, not at paid. He himself given not at paid for January 30 rupees. This is what the problem they gave and asked us to prepare the cash book. How do we prepare it? First one, cash on hand 1200. When they say cash on hand, that means I have a cash of 1200 rupees as opening balance. I had 1200 rupees as opening balance. Cash book is an asset. Cash balance is an asset. It is a current asset. Cash balance is a current asset. Assets are debit balances. So cash on hand is an asset. Assets are debit balances. So I have to put this amount in debit side. To balance brought down. Why am I writing to balance brought down? Because it is an opening balance. Because it is opening balance. Right? 1 second, I forgot about specimen. See here, date mentioned, receipts, LF number, amount, date, payments, LF number, amount. That's all. Same, looks like your cash account only. There is no much difference here. So now we already did about 1200. Let us go to next one. Received from Ram. When we receive the cash from Ram, what comes in? Cash. So cash account, cash comes under rail account. I don't want to explain all those journal entries, it will be boring for you. So when the cash comes in, we debit cash and receiver is Ram. So Ram account. So cash account debit to Ram. So to Ram account 300. This is done. Paid rent 30 rupees. When I make the payment rent is an expenditure. Expenses and losses to be debited. So entry is rent account debit to cash account. So buy rent. In cash account, buy rent we need to write 30 rupees. Clear? Next. Sold goods for cash 300. We sold goods. When we sell the goods, what comes in? Cash comes in. So cash account debit and goods are going out. We call it as sales. So to sales account 300. Right? So 8th date. So date is mentioned 8th. Clear? Next. Moving on to the paid to Sham 700. We paid to Sham. Sham is the receiver. So Sham account debit to cash account 700. Right? So cash account is created. So credit side by Sham 700 rupees. Date 10th January. Next. Purchased furniture 200 rupees. When we purchase furniture, what entry we write? Furniture account debit to cash account. Here you can ask me a question. Hey, this is an asset, no? Can we write this in cash book? Please remember, whether it is asset, whether it is a goods or it is an expenditure, what we need to consider in cash book is we will consider whether the actual payment or receipt happened or not. When there is a payment, cash payment happened, whether it is an asset or goods or an expenditure, we don't care. Since the payment has gone, that has to be recorded in cash book. Similar way, whether it is a revenue receipt or a cash receipt, whatever it may be, if the cash is received, we go ahead and write it in the cash book. That's all we need to do. Clear? So here furniture purchased. So when we purchase furniture, furniture comes in. So furniture account debit to cash account. Cash account is created, so credit side Buy furniture 27th. Next, paid salary is 100 rupees. When we pay salaries, salaries is an expenditure. So all expenses and losses to be debited. Salaries account debit to cash account. So buy salary is 31st 100 rupees. This is also done. Next, rent due not yet paid for January 30. This is not paid. What did I say when we prepare the cash account? Only payments and receipts need to be recorded. This is not paid. If it is not paid, we will not record in cash book. This transaction we will not record in cash book because this amount is not paid. So that's all. All transactions have been recorded in cash book and balance it. You can blindly start debiting, totaling the debit side. You can blindly start totaling debit side in cash book. Why? Because cash book will be always having higher debit balance. It cannot be lower than the payment side. That is what I told you. Hence, you can happily go ahead and start totaling debit side first. So 1800, same 1800 you put, and all these transactions you total and deduct from 1800, you get 770 rupees. This 770 rupees is nothing but a balance carried down by end of the month. That means what? 770 rupees cash you have by end of the month. Initially you had 1200 as opening balance. You had 1200 rupees as opening cash balance. After recording all these transactions, your closing cash balance has become 770. That means you had only 770 rupees as a cash balance. So buy balance carried down and to balance brought down, 770 you brought it. This is what I told you previously. Whenever you see the cash book, you always see brought down balance is in debit side. You always see balance brought down is in debit side. It will never come this side, because you cannot pay one single rupee more than what receipts you have in our cash book. That is the reason either it will have a debit balance or both the balances will tally. That's all. It will never be a credit balance. Are you clear? Right. So that's all for simple cash book. So next video we talk about two columnar cash book and three columnar cash book. If time permits, both I will cover. Otherwise, I will finish off two columnar and then move on to the three columnar cash book. That's all about cash book today. If you like the content, please like the video, share this video with your friends and colleagues, and subscribe to my channel. Right? Thank you so much.